Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Weichelt Wednesday with Robert Weichelt from EXP. Today we have one of my favorite peeps in the business, not just at EXP, but in the business. And we're going to share, what her years of experience has, helped her with, and she's going to share some really great nuggets. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Kim Fraser, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Robert. It's so nice to see you today. It's been a few months since I saw you. Well, it's been 2 months now. Yeah. In Vegas. So it's great to be able to see you and connect again in person.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I appreciate it. We've known each other for a while. We had a really interesting way to meet. I'll just tell the quick cliff notes because I just love this story. I tell it anytime I can. But we were out at an event for EXP for top agents, bringing on folks to the team and called Sprint. And we had a day before the event. So I said, hey, we're in Denver. The All-Star game is here. And I said, I'm just going to take an Uber, get dropped off at the coolest bar and just kind of experience the whole thing. Ran into you and your wonderful husband, and the rest is history. Now we've seen each other multiple times, and I just tell you, my eyes light up when I see you both and your wonderful husband. So
I love that.
6 kids, 8 grandkids. That is awesome.
We're so blessed. It's awesome. And it's great being a young grandma and wrapping all their Christmas presents, got all the kids squared away and all the grandkids too. So they get spoiled equally as much as the kids do.
Well, I love it. So let's get started real quick. Let's tell the audience, who's Kim Fraser?
So I am a realtor. I've been a real estate agent for 21 years. This is my 21st year in the business. My husband and I work together. So we're a husband-wife team. I'm the licensed agent. He is the marketing side of our business. We do have 3 of our kids that are licensed agents that work with us in administrative roles, marketing, transaction coordination, ISA. So that's kind of nice. They're kind of learning the business behind the scenes. Have a couple of our kids also getting ready to get licensed. I am licensed in the state of Washington as well as Texas, which is what brought me to EXP to begin with. So I needed to find a brokerage to hang my Texas license. And once I saw all of the wonderful things that EXP had to offer, I couldn't stay at my past brokerage, which I had been at for 19 years. And I left. I was the #1 agent in my brokerage out of about 4,000 agents. So it was kind of a shock to them to see me going to a virtual brokerage. I don't think they saw that coming. And then I think in 2023, first quarter, I'm going to work on getting my Arizona license next. So pretty excited about that.
Look at you, overachiever. I love it.
No,
I love it. And EXP gives you the platform to do just that. And it's a wonderful thing. It's changed my business as well. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about, let's look in the rearview mirror a little bit at 2022. What did you see in 2022?
Definitely a shifting market. When we started off the year last year, we had low 3% interest rate, environment, which obviously historically, not a sustainable interest rate. It was sub 4% for longer than I ever thought it would have ever been. I bought my first house in 1990, 10%, bought it down to 9.5%, and I thought I was doing really well. Second house in 93, I bought 7.75. I thought anything below 8%, I was stealing it. But granted, my first house was 77,000 brand new. My second was 130,000 brand new. So it's all relative, right? And so I remember when I was new in the business in 2002, rates were about 6%. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can sell houses like crazy. This is like free money, right? And then you go down where we had the 5% range. And then when we had to kind of artificially lower interest rates to stimulate the economy kind of during the Obama administration, and we started to see rates kind of go down, and really had never thought they would get, below 5% level on 4 or 3. I have a 2.25% interest rate on my home, which is crazy. And so I'm not planning on selling this house anytime soon, but it's crazy. So we go from a 3% interest rate first of the year, 3.25 to I think 6.31. Today is the average. We're mid-December of, week out from Christmas. And the problem is you're never going to see those rates again. Prices have increased so much that it's an affordability issue. So it's no longer just that the prices increased more than they would have had rates not been as low as they were, because it got a lot of people into the marketplace that normally wouldn't have been able to purchase if rates were 5, 6, or 7%. So it created a supply and demand issue, which people were paying 10, 20, 30% over list price in 2021 and 2022, kind of in those 2021 for sure during COVID, and kind of rolled into 2022. So you had, waiving inspection, waiving financing, waiving appraisal, 20 to 30% over, 20 to 50% down, not a sustainable market. But we rode that as long as we could. And then I think with the inflationary environment of the country, the Fed started having to raise the borrowing rate to kind of stifle the economy. And normally that doesn't have quite as much of a tie to mortgage interest rates, but this time it did. And so now, we were up to 7% a couple months ago for a bit there. And now we're down in the lower half of the sixes, but you still have prices that have adjusted maybe 5 to 10%. Some markets could be up to 20 on the higher end stuff here in the Seattle market. I had a house for $4 million that I would have sold 9 months ago for 4 or 5. We closed it at 3.2. So substantially different than what we would have gotten, a year ago. And so I think, it increased faster than anybody thought it would. I think it took us a little while to shift and pivot. I think it's stabilizing. I think this is our 5th week in a row. We've had a little decline in interest rates, which could give people a little bit of reprieve. But still, I have a $2 million house that, the interest rate is 6.5%. That payment's $13,000 a month through taxes. It's a big payment. So I still think stuff, it's going to take a little while, I think, for people to adjust to the normal. And I do think going into next year, we're going to still see some decrease in property values just because the affordability is pretty far off still.
So that's what an amazing recap of 22. Speaking of 23, where do you see it? Do you see it kind of doing a lot of the same thing as we're dealing with now? Or do you see any kind of movement in terms of prices? You think they'll stabilize? What's your thoughts on 23 moving forward?
I think we're going to see some continued depreciation. Honestly, it could be 5%, could be 10. If rates stay above 6, I think they get below around 5, 5.5. I think that'll help with the affordability gap a little bit. I just think right now you're literally still double what we were a year ago. And that's a huge difference in payments for people. And you've got, core inflation, the CPI numbers are high. You're still at 7+% year-over-year inflation, taking out food and energy. And so really, when you factor all of that in, you're probably 12 to 15% overall, hit to people's budgets. And so I think that it's sounding like the Fed's going to ease up a little bit on their, maybe 0.25% in February, which will help. It looks like they'll give us January off, but they want to be around 5.1%. So I think it's still, the interesting thing, it's still a supply issue. So the months of supply is still down to probably 1/3 of what it should be in a healthy market, right? We're still at about 2.5 months worth of supply. Some markets 6 weeks, but a lot of that stuff's not moving just because of the affordability. A 6-month inventory is a healthy market, and so we're still far below what a balanced market would be. But I think rates are going to have to either come down or prices, maybe a little of both.
So hold on to your seat. 23 is on its way, and we're going to be.
I think there's a lot of great opportunities to purchase. Like if you've got cash, there's going to be opportunities to refinance. I mean, I don't think rates are going to see. I don't think we're going to see 4% again. I don't. I think in the 5s are probably going to balance out to be, which historically is a great rate. Before we had to start stimulating the economy about 12 years ago, the 30-year average was 8.3%. And so we were down in the 6s and 5s for a long time. So I think in the 5s, I think the market will get going again. So we've got a little bit left to, I think, get there. And I think people just have to adjust to the normal. This is kind of where the floor is going to be, and they just have to reevaluate their expectations.
Absolutely. Well, some good nuggets there. So with that said, what do we want to say to the agents that maybe have been in the business less than 5 years? They've not used to these kinds of shifts in the market. What do we want to say to the new agent?
I think they're going to have to, work harder. Real estate's a tough market. Washout rate first, 80% in the first year, 90% in the second year. I think people were really lucky for that COVID bounce last 2020, 21, and 22. It was fairly easy to make money. You might have to write 30 offers to get a buyer's offer accepted, because it was so competitive at 3% interest rate. But they're going to have to work hard. They're going to have to really focus on the principles, make sure they've got their database, their sphere, past clients really dialed in. Open houses. Open houses are going to be key. They've got to get the little buns out there and work open houses. I'm still doing open houses today as a 20+ year veteran in the business. Sometimes you're not going to see anyone. Sometimes you might see 3 or 4 or 5 people, 10 people. So open houses, good follow-up. Sphere database, other lead gen. I know you're big in the REO, getting REO certified would be a big thing. A relocation. I mean, anything that either with an EXP or another platform has to offer. referral, like, we were getting a referral, like a Home Light or something like that. We were giving a referral back. Any of those companies that you can glean any business off of, any affinity relationships with lenders that they can partner with, I think would be huge. You're going to be taking a little bit from each place,
Sure.
to kind of get your book of business. I don't think there's going to be just one thing. I think you're going to have to work harder than you ever have, to survive. A lot of the agents, I think I think what we're saying, 30% are going to fall out for sure. Seasoned agents as well.
Yeah.
So we're probably expecting at least a 30% attrition.
Yeah. And we've seen this. This is my 37th year in the business coming up. And
37?
Yeah. February 1986.
You're like a baby.
Oh, I wish that was true.
12.
So I've seen the market come back around. It's cyclical. It comes back around. It always rears its ugly head in a certain different way. And it's the agent it's willing to make the shift and really see the shift, see what's going on, and be able to adapt to that. It's like learning how to hit the curve. So it's wow, what a great message. We talked about 22. We talked about what's happening in 23. We took a little walk down memory lane in terms of where the rates were and how we thought anything under 10 was like you're celebrating. Then everybody got all excited with these 2 1/4s and that kind of thing. And but the biggest takeaway for me is new agents. We were all new at one time. So the new agent that actually gets with it, gets to work, because it works if you do. There's lots of tools, lots of tips, lots of trainings. We coach, train, and mentor agents all over the country. So I would recommend they tap into us and reach out to us and let us know what we can do to help them not only stay in the business, but thrive and really succeed in the business. So Kim,
I agree.
You are absolutely a treasure in this industry, my dear friend, and I just can't wait to see you guys again. And thank you so much for being my guest today and updating the nice folks that are watching this. And I wish you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. My love to your wonderful family and that wonderful husband of yours.
I appreciate you. And the same to Carla and your beautiful kids as well.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
Merry Christmas, my friend.